Welcome to the Indie Backlog Club, a podcast where we dive into our game libraries to talk in depth about some fantastic indie titles from our backlog. I'm Kat, also known as The Cat is a Lie, a gamer and crafter on Twitch. Together here with Rachel, an artist and blogger for the Indie Hive game review website, and Heather, also known as Red Pandamon, an artist and gamer on Twitch. And today, we're plugging in and loading up the game Pant's Quest by Ghostcat Games, a tiny, lovingly crafted point-and-click adventure game about finding your way in life and your pants.
Sorry, that kills me.
I love it. It's so good. It's so good.
It's worse for me. I'm in the UK. Pants means underwear.
Oh no!
Oh no! Oh my goodness. I wondered. So that kind of like makes me think: are there other things in the game that like were sort of not necessarily like lost in translation, but like maybe were a little bit weird for you? Or just the whole pants underwear thing?
Just the whole pants thing, really.
I mean, I guess you can't go to work without your underwear either. I mean, you could. No one would really
there's people
know.
that do.
I'm just also thinking of like pants in that context now, and it's like when you hear Pants Quest, it's like it could mean a multitude of things. Like
we are questing for pants, that's for sure.
Oh no, I love that.
Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. So in Pants Quest, you wake up at 5 a.m., you roll out of bed, and you start literally one of the most frustrating days of your life. Was there any like specific section of the game or like any one of the tasks that you guys had to go through that you were just like, man, I've been there.
I feel. Oh, go ahead, Ari.
Coffee. I was just gonna the first task, like you can't do anything until you've made your coffee, and you make your coffee and then you drop it, and it's just like I think that just sets the scene. Like you know what you're getting into at that point. Like everything is just gonna go wrong.
Oh yeah, that's
It's
like
gonna be one of those days.
Yeah. Yesterday I was really hungry between meetings, so I went to go make a snack and had to grind up some seeds for the shake that I was making, and I could not get the blender to blend. And so I, being the stupid person I was, took the lid off and tried poking the start button.
No.
And it literally blew up all over my face, all over the living room. And I was literally just standing there with my husband sitting on the couch watching me. And I was just like, yep. So that's the thing that's happening. And that's exactly like that coffee. Like you make your perfect cup of coffee and then you drop it. I'm like, I just had 10 minutes. I just needed a snack. I'm so hungry.
Oh no.
Making my coffee before this podcast, I've got one of those little drip filter things that sits on top of your cup. I started pouring water into it while it wasn't on my cup. I just got coffee all over the side.
Oh
no.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like, the whole, okay, I can't start my day functionally without getting my coffee, et cetera, et cetera. Yes. Been there. But I think the thing that like really hit me was, the alarm goes off and it's raining and you have everything, shut and it's dark and it's like you're cozy in bed and everything. And so the alarm going off was the part to where it was just like, maybe it's just me, but I feel like I've definitely woken up some days and been like, yes, the alarm going off, not about it, don't want to be here right now, etc. But as soon as I saw that it was 5 a.m, I was like, oh, go back to bed. Go back to bed right now. Like that was the part that I was like, I'm still somewhat questioning whether or not he technically needed to be up that early, or if it was one of those days to where it's like, you wake up like way before your alarm goes off and you can't go back to bed or else you won't get up,
Like be a farmer or what's the deal?
Is this where I tell you guys that I get up at 5:15 in the morning?
Oh my gosh, Kat, go back to bed. Go back to bed right now.
Oh man, I wish I could.
That is.
But yeah, no, I used to get up at my husband used to go to work at like 4:15 in the morning. He'd get up at 4:15 and he'd be out the door by like 4:45.
Oh my gosh.
And so there was a long debate of, do I just get up or do I try to fall back asleep for 45 minutes?
That's fair.
Or is that going to make me more tired? And I've always gotten like during COVID and stuff when we first started working from home, I never changed my schedule even though I don't have a commute. I just kept getting up at 5:15. Um and it's just kind of how it is. And my body will wake me up by 6:30 if I'm not awake yet.
Mm. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, like, this is literally like, I say all of this, but I've worked so many like weird third shifts and swing shifts in my
Mhm.
life. And I loved, like, I was a barista, so I was totally up at that time. Did I like it? No. Did I like my job? Yes. Did I like getting up at like 5 a.m.? No.
My
And
jobs
then,
were I finished at that time.
yeah, same. And so I don't know. It's just when it's the wee hours of the morning, I guess, right? Like early AM, everything is kind of dimly lit. It's gray, there's something so comforting about it. I just want to get back in bed every time. No matter how consistently I've been waking up at that time, no matter how much coffee I might put it into my system at that time, like the bed will always win.
I'm with you.
But I do want to quickly loop back around to the coffee thing because I'm not going to lie, 90% of me was fully convinced where you were going with that sentence, Ari, was that you were about to tell us that you drank stale coffee on the regular. Like 2-day old
been known
coffee.
to microwave a cup of coffee if I've
2-day
left it too
old.
long.
2-day
No.
old.
No, like an hour old.
Has anybody, because I haven't, that was where I swiftly drew the line, even while I was a college kid that had like, a coffee cup from the day before sitting there. Has anybody reheated 2-day old coffee?
Can't say that I have.
Cat, you're awful quiet over
Very
there.
quiet.
Cat.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh my gosh, am I back?
Yes.
Yes. Yay.
Sorry.
No worries.
The internet keeps kind of dying.
Oh no. Yeah, you're a little bit
I don't know
muddled.
what's going on, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, no worries. If we need to like hit a pause on conversation, we can obviously clip this out and loop back in. Beauty of recording.
There we go. I think I'm good now.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
The thing that was so bizarre for me was that my headphones died right as my internet died and was like,
Oh.
so this is, again, very on point with this game, you guys. I mean, like, seriously.
It's just a bad day after another. Like little frustrated things, one right after
Oh,
another,
yeah.
Whoever wants to go ahead and take it from the fact that you shouldn't drink 2-day old coffee reheated in a microwave for so many reasons, especially with milk in it.
Oh, I didn't even think about the milk.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the milk.
Yeah. Now he added more in, but clearly, what I do want to point out is clearly Dave really wanted milk in his coffee. And so that if it was a takeout cup that he got from somewhere, it already had milk in it. You know it. I'm convinced.
I mean, unless you're okay, so guilty as charged. I've totally done this. Found coffee on my desk and went, yeah, I'm too lazy to remake it, so I'm just gonna go heat this up. But it was black coffee. So how do you hide the fact that it's 2-day old coffee? You put milk and creamer in it.
So what you're telling me is you do and have drank 2-day old coffee?
I've done that. I have.
Cat.
Sometimes it's about the little victories of the day, and you're like, you know what? If I can just not have to go make coffee right now, and I can get my task that I'm doing done, I'll drink this 2-day old coffee. I won't drink it cold. I had a friend who grabbed a cup of cold coffee and took a sip, and they had that moment, like kombucha girl. And she was like, you know what? Never mind. I'll just drink it. It's fine. I'll just drink it. It's still coffee. I was like,
oh my
no,
gosh.
that's too much. That's way too much.
That's fair. I will say that I like not 2-day old. I have not been that guy, but I've definitely reheated like the same day coffee, maybe at like the end of the day or something. And yes,
I've done that.
but you can't do it cold. Like if it was like an iced coffee or something at the beginning, even if it like kind of came to room temperature or something, I find it harder to drink than if it was a hot coffee that I just reheated,
Yeah.
Room temperature coffee is bad.
I will reheat the same cup of coffee like 6 times in a day, but, that's the same cup of coffee, it's basically fresh.
6 times?
Oh,
Jeez.
totally.
Oh, no. I'm
I mean, come
sorry.
on, come on.
I'm
It's
so
ADHD. You
sorry.
guys know it. You guys
Okay,
know what
look, I do, and that's why I have a thermos that like retains heat
That's fair. That's
because
fair.
okay, so tiny sidebar, I promise, just a itty bitty one. The more that you reheat a cup of coffee, one, the less potent it gets. So the caffeine is doing nothing for you at that point. And two, like you're burning it. You're repeatedly burning the burnt coffee. So no wonder you have to add milk.
Right? Absolutely.
I just my heart hurts a little bit. I had such a struggle with that part of the game to where he was just like, yes, 2-day-old coffee. And I'm sitting here like, no, I won't do it. Like, David.
Coffee.
The only reason that I got through that section was because he said you couldn't pet the cat until after your breakfast, until after you fed
100%.
the cat. And you couldn't feed the cat until after you gave yourself breakfast. And so I was just like desperately trying to get through that section so that I could pick up Nugget. I wanted to pick up Nugget so bad.
I'm glad I wasn't alone there.
I literally squealed when I finally got to pick up Nugget. I'm like, oh, I'm carrying this cat around everywhere from now on.
Nugget was such
a
good
really
boy.
Excited when you found the treats, and then you realize it's not actually the food. You still can't feed him.
Yes, I know.
Well, but you could give him treats, like, you know. But yeah, no, 100%. As soon as I found that, I was like, oh my God, come here. Because the whole time, I genuinely was just sitting there like, we have to get this cat food. David, where were you? Like, what the heck? You're losing everything. And I'm like, we can't get this cat his food. I was like, we got to get Precious Nugget some food. And finally, when I went around the corner and did find the treats, I was like, oh my God, come here, darling baby child. And I just sat and fed him like 8 treats.
Oh, yeah.
This actually feed the cat until later in the game.
Yeah.
Yep. The cat is down in the basement.
Yes.
Yep.
Why the can opener was down there? I don't know. It stressed me out. Like
I was gonna say, like, this game kind of feels like ADHD the game for me. Because like as you're going through the house, like there's so many
finding
tasks
the dishes.
you have to do. Like you have to find the dishes, and the dishes are all over the place. And I think of like my husband and I present very differently, and he's diagnosed, I'm not. And he'll leave, I literally like 1 drink of water in the bottom of a glass, but you'll find 6 different glasses in different rooms all over the house. And so that was like what I was thinking about when going through trying, like, and there's a plate in a random place, and you're just like, why would there even be a galding plate here? And
I'll
you're
be
like,
honest.
Yes.
Like, that's me. I never questioned it because I was like, oh, of course, this was left here.
Yes, there's definitely a sock in here. Why not?
Now, the clothes I didn't get. The plates I did.
My mind actually went to like sort of mental health problems like depression or something, you know. Like everything's too much. You don't pick up after yourself. And
interesting.
And honestly,
like his sort of monologuing and the way he reacts to stuff eventually, and like how defeatist he can be.
That's fair.
Like that just that's what it made me think of. But that's probably because that's closer to my experience.
Well, and same. That with having grown up with depression and anxiety most of my life, one of the things that they say with people who have ADHD too is it's a hand-in-hand combo oftentimes with anxiety and or depression. So some of those habits of like the forgetfulness and things like that are also very highly symptoms when it comes to like depression as well. I know when I have the most brain foggy times where I'm so overwhelmed, I've definitely had times where I've put in my oatmeal, I put the oatmeal in the fridge and walked away and been like, wait a second, it's a dry good. It's a pantry good. What the heck? Oh, and the milk is in the cabinet. Awesome.
Oh, interesting.
Like it's just your brain. When you're depressed, when you're stuck like that, when you're overwhelmed or burnt out, it's so
like you don't have the capacity
relatable.
for.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's so relatable because and that's one of the things that I struggled with, again, bringing up COVID early on in COVID, it was just like the depression and the isolation got so
Mhm.
overwhelming that little tasks were so overwhelming at times, and that burnout you feel is just it's the game was so relatable to me
Mhm.
on that
But
level as I mean, I've never had
there's
a day go this bad.
Oh god, I wish I was you.
there's no like
Like
Oh, no.
there's no like single task that's particularly challenging or overwhelming. It's just the relentless nature with like everything going wrong, and then there's another task and another task.
And none of them
Just
are like you said, none of them are overwhelming tasks. It's like check your email, feed the cat, wash the
have a
laundry,
coffee.
drive like
Yeah,
none of them are big tasks, but together on a day when you're already feeling crappy,
it's a
like
lot.
Oh
it
yeah.
ends up feeling like so much more.
And I think like that's a good point, looping back to where it's like you have your daily set tasks, cuz I know that I get that way too. I'm very routine based, I guess. Like I function my best when I'm planned out. As you guys I
Mhm.
know have heard with me like sitting like, okay, we're going to like make our dates, make our hours and write things down and everything. I've always been like extremely on the organized side of that. And then any time that like my day gets interrupted, it throws everything off and I have to like bump things back and like, because I have I've learned to put flexibility in my schedule, but because of the rigidity with that, it throws me off really bad. And so what I got while playing the game, I see what you guys are talking about from those perspectives, and I think that's really interesting. But just simply by having like the to-do list and everything, and it's like, okay, I'm going to go through these things, and then, like he said, I can't do this before I do this. That I related to so thoroughly because Cody will be like, well, can't you move on to a different task and then come back to this one if this is like hindering you at this
No,
moment? No, no,
No.
I
no, no,
can't
no.
because my brain is working in like, I guess, like a stair step fashion. You can't just hop over a
Yeah.
step, you'll
Yeah.
break your leg, and so I related
Like,
to that really hard, I guess, when like kind of encountering that. And then it was like you said, they're not big tasks, but also just, going out on a limb to say that a lot of the issues that he also ran into were not like life damaging issues. They were little tiny speed bumps. But those
But you
like
think too, like
minor
those little things
hangups,
pile up.
yes. And those minor hangups, because, he got stopped because he dropped the coffee. And so now it's like, oh, I got to take time to actually like clean up the coffee cup and then make another thing
Mhm.
of coffee. And then it's like, oh, I lost this item. So I can't progress here because I don't have this thing. And so it was just like all of those
it's
little like instances that compiled onto one another. Through my whole playthrough, I would just have to sit and like take a moment with him because, you as the player are also experiencing all of these hangups. And so let's take the goal of like, from the moment that I saw that we could pick up Nugget, I was like, that's my goal. I don't even care about
Yes.
finding Pants, right? That
Yes.
was my goal, was feeding the cat and holding Nugget. And so, going through the step by steps and having it, I would be sitting and like lamenting with Dave when all of these
like
hangups were happening because I was like,
at one point, I think he just
uh,
at one point, I think he just like curls up in front of the washing machine,
mhm.
like
Mhm.
completely gives up, and I'm just like, I feel you. I'm
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No,
I
I've
know.
definitely had that moment. I've actually, if we're talking about bad days, and Kat mentioned that's not been that bad, I have 100% had a day that was from hell while I was in college. And I vividly, guys, remember sitting in my laundry
Oh, wow.
basket, just
Oh,
sobbing
oh,
because I
I
had
definitely
an
sat
issue
on the
with the
floor
laundry.
crying, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like in my laundry basket, and my roommate came back and was like, you okay? And I was like, no. She's like, what can I do?
Oh my gosh, I had a day that ended up like that. It wasn't as bad looking back at it, just it was
Mm-hmm.
tons of little things that ended up happening, and my husband comes home, walks up the stairs, and he finds me sitting on the floor in the hallway just staring at the carpet, and
Oh.
he's like, "You doing okay?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "What can I do?" I'm like, "I don't know. And I just start crying. I'm like, everything is wrong. Everything's terrible.
It's true.
It was also when we realized that I had been forgetting to take my anxiety meds for like
Sure.
a week. So that might have had something to do with it. But shout out to all my people out there. Take your meds. Take your meds.
Yeah,
take
there
your
you
meds.
go. Good reminder.
Yep. And stay hydrated.
Oh my God, yes. You would be surprised at how big of a difference that makes.
As I take a big drink from my water bottle.
Good. Do that.
Man.
So, quick question for you guys. Deviating a little bit, I think that was like a great interlude into like how the game functions, and I loved that. Mm-hmm. Did you have a particular, like, I guess, section or puzzle task that you enjoyed above everybody else, like, or above all of the other like little puzzles that you had to do?
Good question. I mean, obviously, becoming a good cat dad.
Absolutely, yeah.
I struggled to find the solution for the washing machine puzzle for a little while. That's like near impossible without specific instructions.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and like going to find the note that the girlfriend, was it Clara?
Yes.
Left.
Yeah.
That took me a long time too, but I think that was fun because it was a little bit. It was not like the answer is in this room. It was like the princess is in another castle, so you had to go find a solution in a different room, and you had to click through everything in the room to find it. And then I still have it sitting in front of me, have a diagram that I drew out from those notes so that I could go back and get the washing machine running.
Sure.
I took a photo on my phone.
That's what I did too. But I think that was probably my favorite puzzle, to be honest, is specifically because I actually sat down and read every single book that was in that house.
Yes.
Because
all the
she was
titles
just like,
were so fun.
Yeah. And the fact that she was like, you know, I read the titles because they were funny, but then when she was like, oh, I left it in a book that, you know, it basically is like a you book or thing. And there was honestly so many of those self-help books that he did have. I was like, which one is it? You know?
Yes.
And the How to People, I was like, me too, Dave. Me too.
Right. How to People was like my favorite title. I'm like, I wish I knew. I mean, I don't know that I'd even know if I got instructions.
The password itself, when will it end?
Oh my God, yes.
I know. I was like, that is so. And I'm going through all the Post-it notes on the wall, and I came up to the "Eat the Frog" quote, and I was just like, oh my God, absolutely.
Dave's a millennial.
I know that quote. You know, like a lot of us do know the quote, "Eat the frog," and I was just like, how exactly like me to put up the most motivating, like, eat the frog, do all the things, and then have my password be, when will it end?
Dave's a millennial.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with Eat the Frog.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Eat the Frog is from who said Eat the Frog? Brian Tracy. If it's your job to eat the frog, the best thing to do it first in the morning. And if it's your job to eat 2 frogs, then eat the biggest one first. So it's kind of like, hey, if this is what you're supposed to do today, just do it and get it out of the way.
Yeah,
do the
it's
hard
like a
thing
taper
first.
effect.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it was like, eat the frog, and then the next one was do all the things, and then you find the password is, you know, when will it end? And I'm like, oh, buddy, I wish I could give you a hug.
But, you know, I think that's actually a very accurate representation of Dave's character in general, because he was pretty positive trying to get through the stuff and then just despair. Like, you know?
Yeah.
He was a very good sport. Like, he honestly, like, I would have stopped like 100%, like probably immediately after the coffee. I would have been like, nope, I'm getting back in bed.
Nope, I'm like, going back to bed. Yeah,
never would have pushed past it.
Yeah, that was. I think the other one that I thought was really fun was looking for the keys, because to find the keys you had to play the video game.
Right? Yeah.
You had to play the game.
And I sucked at the game.
Oh my God.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. I don't want to, because I feel like, you know, words can be very strong, if I never had to play that minigame again, it would be fine with me. But I need the achievement.
Precise.
Yeah, I think I compared it to back in the day. I had, because this was just, gendered things happen when you're young and people don't know better. My brother had a bunch of video games, and I really wanted my own video game, so my mom bought me the Barbie video game on Nintendo. And to this day, my brother says it's one of the hardest video games he ever played on the original Nintendo system.
Really?
So, I mean, don't misjudge the pink cartridge. But that's kind of what like that water level reminded me of. It was a certain level in the Barbie game where you have to do something similar. And as soon as it popped up, I'm like, oh man, trauma flashbacks. That level sucked.
Sure. Yeah, no.
I played the dolphin on crack.
Yeah.
That's what, like, I know I need the achievement, and I'm definitely going to get said achievement, but I can genuinely only play like 3 or 4 rounds of that before I'm sitting here like, okay, I might as well be playing Get Over It. Like,
oh yeah,
for the sure. Frustration level.
Like, I'm not gonna lie. I got my boyfriend to do the achievement for me.
I didn't get the achievement because I knew like with the trigger finger, like I'd be like, I'm gonna be here for 2 days, 2 solid days.
Oh man, it's so hard to judge the distance. So, hats off. I think it feels like that was intentional though, like the frustrating games. So hats off to you, Ghostcat games,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely intentional. It just fits the rest of the
right? Yes.
morning, isn't it?
Because it makes you 10 times more frustrated.
You kind of relax. I'll just relax for the game. And then,
well, you're like, oh, and it's a silly game about a dolphin jumping through a hoop. How hard can this be?
Exactly.
Part
of me was like, I wonder. Looking back on it, I kind of wish there was an achievement for you just quitting the game after like what you determined the most frustrating part. Like you just got back into bed. I fully expected to be able to get back into bed.
Just rage quit. That's amazing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm going back to bed now. What did you guys think of the music, by the way?
The sound design in general was so silent. I loved it.
I don't
actually remember there being any music, just sound effects.
No, not in the game, but on the menu screens.
Oh. I don't recall them off the top of my head.
Okay, well, it slaps. So you guys need to go reopen the game.
Okay.
Because I loved the ending music and everything. I was like, I could listen to this all day.
I just remember the diegetic bit from the radio.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only music I remember. But
well, maybe it's because I sat on the. I was sitting on the ending screen, just chatting with my chat for a little bit, and so that's when I remember hearing it the most. And I was like, "This music slaps!" Like,
I think I remember saying that.
It's just a somber, rainy day feel. Like I said, it was so funny to me with the contrast because I could totally see like with the whole weather system and everything. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, it's just cloudy and rainy all the time." And it's like just like, and normally, as a person who thrives off of like 99% sunshine, because I love the sun, I found like that portion of the game to be very calming and very comforting rather than just like, oh, it's a gloomy day, I don't know. I feel like they nailed that portion of it. Like, that's why like the bedroom was just so somber and like calm. And I just wanted to like hang, like that felt safe versus the rest of the house kind of stressed me out,
That's true. I mean, and that's kind of a mood right there that, everything's fine until you leave your bedroom. And that was kind of it too. Like you wake up, you're like, oh yes, I have to go find my pants. And then you're like, and what else do I have to do before I can find my pants? I do have to say in the bedroom too, I loved all of the stuff on the walls and like his shelf of collectibles.
Yeah.
Dave's collectibles. Again, you can tell Dave is a millennial because he has a no face, an off-brand, can't like, we're not sponsored, no face, and he had like a Snorlax, and I think the top one might have been like an ad or something, but it's like, oh, and he has in the poster with the UFO on it, I want to believe.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. I was huge fan of the X-Files growing up, man. I was like, this dude could be my friend, or I could be this dude.
Well,
very
even his
possibly.
board games, were very like telling, I guess, and I have to laugh now thinking about all of the the collectibles and games and various stuff that he had, and I'm like, is that why he only had one pair of pants? Like that he was just spending all of his money on collectibles?
I mean, can't relate. I mean, totally
But
can't
he
relate.
did seem to have a bit of a build-up of laundry, so
Right?
maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. I don't remember ever picking up like a pair of like slacks,
No.
It was just like sweats.
No. And they had to have been his dress pants too, because he was going to work. So does he have like lounge pants?
Yeah. Well, I believe that I saw lounge pants, but I'm just sitting here like, do you only have one pair of work pants,
I mean, I do, because I hate clothes and I think fashion is totally a part of capitalistic culture. But that's a story for another time.
Okay, but
I'd be totally happy if you were like, here's your issued pair of jeans and your 10 black t-shirts. Have fun. I'd be like, all right, I'm good. I don't have to think about clothes at
I
all.
have like multiple of the same pair of pants, I guess is the way that I'm looking at it. But I don't just have the singular pair of pants.
That's true. Okay.
No, I can't be bothered to buy a bunch of different types of jeans. If I find a pair of jeans that I like, that fit, that are nice, neutral, dark color, I'm buying 18. Like, I don't need any other pants.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely not. No more pants.
See, I can't do that because I buy most of my stuff in charity shops, so it's not often they have more than one of anything.
That's fair. I mean, that's where I buy all my sweaters.
Too. Same. Most of my tops come from a thrift store.
Mine are all old golf sweaters, like for like little old men.
Are you secretly a little old man?
Oh my God, I know I'm a little old lady. Like I've been a grandma since I came out of the womb. Like,
oh my God, and 100% relate.
Which is why I'm sitting here like, yeah, if I broke my coffee cup, I'd have cleaned it up and went back to bed. Like I can't be bothered.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
This was like, I'm thinking back through it. I thoroughly enjoyed the gameplay. And even if, so we did get a content update, and I can't wait to ask you guys your thoughts on that for one, because that was a wild ride and a half for me. But even without the content update, it was a really fun puzzle game. And I felt like, because you could totally play through the whole puzzle, through the whole game, and not have found all of the little bits and bobs, because there are a couple extra like achievements and things that you can do. You can get through the whole game without occurring any of those. So for me, I was surprised at the replayability of it, just for the base game, Oh,
I was going to ask you about that. If you guys thought this was a replayable game.
100%. Yeah, no, I had a blast. Even if it was just achievement hunting, I thoroughly enjoyed just the whole process of going through everything and like looking at stuff. And I'm a compulsive cleaner. So I immediately got that achievement right out the gate because I was like, oh God, we got to collect everything. And that's all I wanted to do. It was like, okay, I needed to get Nugget his food and I have to clean. Like everything else was like a byproduct.
I wish I had the same enthusiasm for cleaning my own house.
Oh, God,
that's
right?
Fair. That's fair.
That's super fair. No, I think I was kind of on the same track too. And in a lot of puzzle games that have a lot of point and click to it, like this one did, I tend to I get through the game too quickly. So like I'll hyper focus on winning the game or completing the game. And then I'll realize, oh man, I bet there were a bunch of nuanced little things that are in the game. And like one of the things I really like about indie games is there are a lot of like little nuanced hidden things or funny that they'll put in the games, because I mean they have so much more freedom to do that kind of stuff, and I don't want to miss it. So I was really glad when I did New Game Plus that I zoomed through the major bits of the story, but like in each room, because I'd already played it, in each room I took more time clicking on everything and like reading the descriptions or like reading the dialogue Dave had as he was talking to himself.
Yeah. It was all very interesting and intentional.
Yeah.
I think I played the base game twice and then played New Game Plus.
Yeah.
That's about what I did.
I've enjoyed it like each time.
Yeah.
the puzzles aren't. They're just sort of logical inventory-based puzzles that's
Yes.
pretty typical of point-and-click games, but they're really satisfying.
Yes. I would agree.
There was no sort of random clicking on stuff or sort of going back and
Yes.
forth loads and that kind of thing.
Yeah. When I used to play the old like Sam and Max games, that happened a lot where you would point and you'd click on a lot of stuff that didn't mean anything and didn't do anything or wasn't a clue about anything in the room.
Yeah, or
And that always gets kind of frustrating.
like you, I guess, like in agreement there. I feel like this one felt like a different point and click puzzle to me, explicitly with the fact that like I have played those in the past. They are fun and they have their own individual charm to them. And, you know, a lot of them have dialogue or like, you know, but very rarely do you not feel like you have to like just spam click or click all over the screen, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
This, you know, it felt very intentional to where it was like, you know, I clicked on things that interested me. And then once I started realizing that there was extra dialogue or different things associated with it, then I started clicking on, well, I wonder what he has to say about this, or, you know, like, what does this have to do with X, you know? And so then it all felt very intentional and everything felt like it had a good flow and pace to it. You didn't have to run through it, you know?
You're clicking on stuff because you want to, not because you're worried that you might have to.
Yeah.
Right. I think like some of the things that he would, and some of the things that Dave would say when you would click on it would help you understand like what you were supposed to do next with the puzzle. And I think for me, like I got kind of frustrated in the very first section because I was just like, I just don't understand what he's asking me for. And then I read, I can't remember I think it was the butter on the toast. And I was just like, I was frustrated because for me personally, I made a piece of toast and I'll eat it.
Yeah.
Like if I can't find the butter, so help me, I'm fine. I'll just eat the plain toast. And so I was like, why can't I just get past this part? Because I can't figure out where the heck the butter is.
That's so
and
interesting.
And then I was like, oh yeah, the butter's in the fridge. And I opened the fridge and found everything in the fridge.
See, and I completely was on Dave's side with that. I do not like eating dry toast for that exact reason.
Dry toast sucks.
Yeah.
But when you're having a day like this where everything is going wrong, it's again kind of like eat the frog. Do I need the butter? No, the toast is made. I'll just eat the toast.
I think I would rather go without than have dry toast. I'd go with no toast.
See, but that's so interesting because for me, in my perspective, if I was having a bad day, like an absolute shit day like that, I'm like, okay, the butter toast is going to make me feel better to get through the next leg of this. So like, I would absolutely prioritize hunting down the butter.
That's fair.
And so it's just
fat on my bread.
That's so interesting though, because this is what I like about the idea with the podcast for all three of us is like with games like this, even as, you know, arguably simplistic for all intensive purposes that Pant's Quest is, it gives you a different perspective of how you would get, like, you know, why you would do certain things or whatnot, or like what you would do for a need to survive. Clearly, Kat would reheat 2-day-old coffee, whereas me, I would want the butter toast.
I would say I'd drink 2-day-old coffee and eat dried toast. So.
But I mean, the game's not as simple the game's not as simple or silly as it, like the title might suggest.
Oh yes, yes.
Like all these sort of potential mental health or ADHD things that it potentially alludes to, but it does it with humor.
Yes,
like there's a nice dose of dark comedy and like not taking itself too seriously without being without sort of being nonchalant.
Also, can we chit-chat real fast about when Carla did get home and how this game represented fairly healthy relationship dynamics?
Oh, it really did. Like, she was so sweet to him.
Yes.
Like, boy, like, I'm so sorry you're having such a hard day. And like, okay.
The answering machine message too?
Yes.
Yeah. Loved that.
She so sweetly explains to him that everything he's done all day has been in vain. And, it's just like,
Yeah.
And they had even had a fight before she left. It's just, you know, and she apologized and like kind of came back through the voicemail and the answering machine. And then even when they do like the black bar zoom in for that moment where Dave's like listening and you could, you know, it's pixel graphics, but you could see like just the way he listened and accepted and kind of had that somber moment of like listening to that voicemail, you know. It's just really good.
And like you said, how she breaks the news to him that he's been struggling all morning, desperately trying to get to work, and it's a public holiday.
But we're gonna go get breakfast to make it better.
Oh my god, literally, I just about cried for him at that point because
I know.
he's just like telling her about everything he's gone through and how horrible of a day it's been, and she's like, "Oh, sweetheart, it's a bank holiday. Like, there's no work today." And I was just about ready to cry. I'm like,
Right?
because I like you're watching the conversation move along, and like you almost know before he knows, sort of that like then you're watching the narrator kind of finally understand like what's going on. And I'm like, Dave, no, it's gonna be okay. It'll be okay, buddy. It's gonna be okay.
I know. I was just waiting for him to just crumble.
I know. But then she's like, hey, you have your pants, so let's go get breakfast. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's so sweet. That's such a
And focusing on the
such a good
victories,
silver lining.
the fact that he was able to pick up, and that she's like, hey, but you have clean
got the
pants.
laundry done.
You
Yeah, you got
found
the
the
laundry done.
things, you know, and you cleaned up.
Do either of you know what she says if he hasn't done those things? Because you don't have to tidy up or do the laundry or the washing.
No, I don't. I actually don't. I wonder if it is different. Because I did all of it just impulsively, you know. But yeah, I guess it would be interesting if that dialogue was any different, you know. I don't know. Carla seems like an absolute like gem of a person. She would probably find something else, you know, like you did good, kid.
Yeah.
You got your trousers on, head pat.
Exactly. That's the important part.
Yeah. Sidebar, my foster kittens have found the room I'm in, and 3 of them are sleeping under the blanket at my feet, and my cat is in my lap. So I am officially
You can't leave. Yeah, you can't leave.
Yep. We're good now.
Leave a comment if you want to see cats.
Right? Yeah. Gotta comment. Comment below. How many cats do you think I have?
I'm gonna say at least 1.
At least 1 is correct.
I'm gonna go with 9.
9.
Ooh, good guess.
Good guess. Stay tuned for our next episode to find out the answer.
Yeah, there you go. We'll find out next time.
Yeah. What did you guys think of like the mechanics of the game, like the controls? Because I know it was to me it was a little frustrating to have to click on the action and then the item over and over again.
Yeah.
I wish that it stickied. Like I wish that when I clicked on look or touch or whatever like what controls were, that it would stay on that until I changed it.
Or potentially like have maybe like, because you really didn't have any like keyboard integration, like maybe having a little bit of like a hotkey with it to where it's like you press a key and then, you know, your mouse controls that. That was literally my only problem with the game. And I use problem extremely lightly because I thoroughly enjoyed this game. Everything else like totally overshadowed that fact. But yeah, that was the one part that was a little bit on the frustrating side, was because if I happen to click something, or then, you know, you click look at and you misclick and then you have to go back and click look at, you know, because it used the action, you know.
Even then, I sort of got used to it. I found it quite awkward at the start, but I got used to it as the game went on. It became less annoying.
Well, and I even paused to think a little bit, was that intentional to make the task a little bit harder?
Oh my God, you just blew my mind.
You know, like was that intentional?
We're breaking the fourth wall.
Right? Because if you click on use and it stays on use, and you can just click all around the room on everything with
That's so true. Oh, and I guess that could also, you could argue that it could bring in that intentional then. You know,
like you have to be
you don't
intentional
spam click. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you just like opened my eyes to a whole new world.
Yeah.
Genius.
I'm Dave.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I felt in this game. And I think that was kind of the point, was to like people who have struggled. And I think that this game touched so nicely on mental health in a very accessible way. You know, it touched on it on such a light, you've got this, like, you can handle this, some days are hard. And maybe some people don't realize that some of those things where you have these days like this, and then seeing the room with everything else that you have to do, like cleaning up and picking up your
Mhm.
clothes, and doing your laundry, that like, this is pretty normal. And if you're struggling with this, it's just one
Sure.
bad day. You can do it.
It's a good narrative insight.
I think just the way the little problems just pile up and pile up, it's quite relatable to most people. So,
Yeah.
like, it makes it a bit. I mean, it's obviously alluding to something with the way he reacts and all the
Mhm.
rest of it, but it's quite
Mhm.
accessible because everyone understands having a bad day.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and
Like,
I definitely called it, you guys remember, was it, what was that book? The No Good, Very Rotten Day or whatever?
Oh, yeah, somebody I can't think of the name, but it's like the no good, very
Alexander
yeah, Alexander's no good, very bad, awful day, I think was
Alexander
it.
and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad
Yeah,
Day.
yes.
And I was like, it's like Dave and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very
No
Bad Day.
pants. No pants, very
No
bad day.
Pants Day, yeah. But
Uh,
again, like you said, it's accessible in that everybody knows what it's like to have a bad day, but kind of like we said at the beginning, where I interpreted some of the stuff in it as like, wow, this is ADHD brain, and Ari interpreted as, yeah, this is kind of like depression.
mhm.
Like people can see their own struggles
mm,
in a way where like no one in the game, like you said, Panda, it's
Mhm.
not life or death. Nothing in the
Mhm.
game is life or death.
But it feels like it.
Nothing in the game is like you're gonna whole life is gonna be over if you don't handle these things. So it was really accessible in that there wasn't that stress of, and he's gonna lose his job,
Yeah.
or his girlfriend's
Yes.
gonna break up with him, or his house is gonna burn down because of the toaster, or like
Yeah.
it was just very light-hearted, sweet look at a bad day.
Yeah. Yes. I'd agree wholeheartedly. And like you said, yeah, none of that stuff in the grand scheme of things is going to like bring the walls down. But when you do have so much trouble kind of like making, for me, writing out all of my lists so that I don't forget to do these things this day, because this one time that I do forget a thing could potentially affect the job or affect X,
Mhm.
you have
Mhm.
to you feel, I guess from my perspective too, with, mental health blockages and everything, when you're going through those motions and you have to work so hard at daily life just in general to function on a like normal capacity, that when you do have those little things or those days that are a little worse than the others, it takes so much extra emotional effort, because it's
Mhm.
like it already feels like it's at that degree. And
and it
so,
Things are all in the dishwasher.
yeah, and so
just
it
becomes overwhelming that much
yes.
quicker. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just exactly it from that perspective on those struggles, to where it's like, everybody has a bad day, but some days, or to some others it feels like, the world might not be ending, but it can feel like that.
yeah,
Everything just
Mhm.
washes over you like a tidal wave, and then you're like, I can't see the surface anymore. Um, and so I also like what you said about it, kind of like, dark humor, but it brings the lightheartedness into that. And then having the representation, I guess it's almost consoling, having the representation of like that healthy relationship, and the fact that Dave was like, this is this might have happened. I have my moment of defeat, but he was in a good
he
place to
does
be
it.
able to see past it, and press in or press on, or Carla being supportive through all of that, and everything. And it kind of gives you perspective from being able to step back. And then, now when I encounter something like that, I guarantee I'm going to think about the game or, my own past instances to help get
Yeah.
past those moments, to where it's like, okay, take a breath. It's definitely not it feels like it is, but it's definitely not the end of the world, and
Yeah.
sitting here is not going to help, and so you can kind of like, nudge yourself, just in a forward momentum.
Yeah.
He very much eats the frog.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
See, there you go. Nice
Yeah.
callback.
I like that. quote, because I don't think I was familiar with it either. You know, I've heard the term, but I never knew the origin. So thank you for giving that,
do the
Kat.
hard thing first.
Yeah.
And I've definitely used that myself on days that I'm really struggling, like laying in bed and thinking about being so overwhelmed with everything that's on my plate and thinking,
Right.
where should I start? And some days I don't have a lot of spoons, so I have to start with the lighter things. But then you get to the end of the day and the big thing is left, and you're like, oh my God, I used all of my energy doing the little stuff.
Yeah.
So get the big thing out of the way first, because the
Mhm.
little things usually don't matter as much.
Mhm.
And they can be pushed off till tomorrow, they can be pushed off till the next day, but eat the frog first.
And be patient
Get
with
out of bed and eat
yourself.
the frog. And pet the
Yeah.
cat.
And pet the cat, yes.
for
Nugget
Always pet the
was,
cat.
you know, I was like, I loved that he followed us around too, because I was like, Nugget
Yeah.
was our support system this whole day.
Our emotional support kitty.
Right? He's like, he was constantly there.
Yeah.
And then after you fed him, if you were still having it, you know, you could just go pick him up. And then it was like, okay, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
I did that a couple of times. There were a few times where I'm like, I'm struggling right now.
Oh,
I need to
constantly.
pick up the cat. I need the cat. Give me the cat.
Yeah. And while I don't have, you know, a cat, I definitely do that with my dogs.
For sure.
Yeah. They definitely
have
make
multiple
things
cats.
better.
Yeah, so anytime I'm upset, I just look for the nearest cat and I pet the cat or pick up the cat, because there's a house full.
There's
so.
always a cat at your disposal, like within
Yep,
arm's reach.
there is.
You know?
Probably within 10 to 12 feet of me, there's always a cat.
I love that.
Oh man. So what did you
Wow.
guys think of New Game Plus?
Oh my gosh, the content update. Brilliant. I feel like I just talked a lot, so I'm gonna definitely pass it off to one of you guys to go first. But I loved
Like-
it.
Unexpected with the kind of, it was all a bit, magical's not the right word. I don't know what
I
word
think
I'm
magical
thinking
is
of.
probably the right word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is not a spoiler free podcast. We've been clear about that. You know, go with it.
Right.
Just like, because everything's been so, like, sort of mundane, everyday stuff, and then suddenly you get this added content, and you're going to parallel universes or whatever it was, the Cat
The
Council,
secret room.
wherever that lives. Yeah.
Okay, so I won't lie. I couldn't figure out the very last item on the list. So
Which
I
one?
didn't finish New Game Plus.
Like the
what was
absolute
the-
last item, or
maybe it was the second to the last item. Can't remember what the list was, but I got the glowing toilet. I
Uh-huh.
got the tiki guy downstairs.
uh-huh.
I got at the very end. I got the one that was in the freezer,
Okay, that was the last item on the list.
and it was the one just before that.
So was
There
it the
was
bathtub?
sunset painting or the bathtub.
Yes, it was the bathtub one
Yeah.
because I think I might have accidentally done something early that screwed up the process up, but it just kept being like, ah, yes, my own personal lake. I'm like, so I
Yeah.
know it has something to do with the bathtub.
That one was really, really hard. I actually had to
Yeah.
have one of my moderators helped me. Because every now, like we were really hung up on that puzzle, and it was the last one I had to do, and so I wanted to be able to get through it. So I was like, okay, I don't want you to outright tell me, but let me know if I'm on the right track. And so we kind of did this hot and cold thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I can't lie. I used to walk through for the last couple.
Well, I
Did you?
technically
Okay.
did, but not really. Because like I said, I wanted to try and get there, but I was like, just tell me if I'm in the right direction.
I don't
Yeah, so
have a
that's the one I
middleman
got
on
stuck
hand.
Yeah.
I'll be your middleman, Ari.
Oh, that's
Just
so
call
sweet.
me. But
that means I didn't quite get to the end of the New Game Plus
Okay,
content.
yeah.
I'd also been playing for like 3.5 hours at that
Sure,
point.
yeah.
I was clicking on everything.
yeah, that one was really, 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 really hard, though. I will say, out of all the puzzles, like I was able to kind of get there with, I think
Yeah.
I got there by myself on all but 2, and that was one of them. And then the other one, I say I got there on all but 2 because it was purely by accident how I found the stuff to go do the tiki, you know?
Oh yeah, me too.
Purely by accident. I had no idea. And it was funny because I actually I found the rosemary before I even read the book that talked about it. And so I was like, oh, I have this thing. And my brain connected the dots to be like, okay, well, this must be the offering that we give to it. And literally right after that, I found the book and read about it. So then I just ran to the basement. But yeah, the bathtub puzzle's very hard.
I think the whole of the added content was more challenging than the base game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, I could. Oh yeah, because like I said, those like especially that bathtub one, those puzzles were very ambiguous, and it was hard to kind of like, you know, it was very riddle-esque. But I really enjoyed it. It almost felt like I was like, this doesn't really feel like content update. This feels like a whole like, you know, mini DLC, you know, because you get like a whole new game.
Everything's all eldritchy.
Yes.
And you're playing this game alongside it, and like all of this eldritch quest stuff is happening, and it was very fun.
Yeah, the doll was probably my favorite one with that because it was the first one that I found. And so, like, you know, you pick up the rotten vegetables and the rotten meat, and I'm like, what do I do with this? And as I kept rereading the to-do list, I was like, can you combine these? And you could. And then I was like, oh, God. And then you combine it again. And it was just how I got there with those puzzles was literally just my own self being like, I wonder what I can do with this. And so I'm like, what does this say about me? I'm just sitting here like, can I?
Well, and that's like a general rule of
make a voodoo doll from like rotten food.
Yeah, right. Can I do this? And
yeah,
it's the
no,
whole
literally.
Like, it was, and that's like growing up, I was in a program called Destination Imagination, and the rules typically said if you're given this set of rules that you have to abide by in solving your problem, and the general rule of thumb is if it doesn't say you can't, then you can.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the feeling that I get sometimes when I do things like that too, is it's just like, well, it didn't say that I can't do it. So
exactly.
I'm going to try at least.
Yeah. My natural inclination was just, yes, I could probably do something with this. So yeah, the doll, the last one was literally the first one that I got because I was like, okay, but what if? And my chat was just like, Heather, why? And I was like, well, listen, bear with me. Wait, let's see.
But you can't say you've tried it all if you don't try it all.
Exactly. But I loved it. And that's what I mean is like when I said earlier, the game itself was so charming and so much fun to play through just inherently that like I didn't know what the content, I thought it was going to be like little like, you know, Easter eggs or like cute shit that you could find around. And the fact that it was like it was the same thing, a to-do list. You had to go through like point A to point B to get to your end. It was essentially the same thing, but with like that added level of like, you know, even Dave was just like, apparently I'm a wizard now. Like, and he just like rolled with it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I loved all of the little puzzles. I thought that they were very cute. Did you guys have a particular, I guess, favorite riddle? Because like mine 100% was the, you know, banish the demon that you then made out of rotten meat. But like,
it took me a really long time to find the summon a blizzard, I think it was.
Oh, with the toilet paper?
Yeah. Yeah. Because you had to like interact with something. Like he's like, yes, Nugget likes to shred this up. It kind of looks like snow. And then I was like, I like freaked out about it and ran out of the room. I found the toilet on I like completely found the toilet by accident. And I was like, it is so cool that the toilet is glowing. I don't know. Like and it was one of those things where the menu was open and I was just like clicking use in the toilet, use in the toilet, use in the toilet with everything. And I was like, I don't know, why would I put the dice in the toilet? And I put the dice in the toilet and it was like, well, now the toilet's glowing. This is how we summon eldritch demons.
Right.
Oh, right.
It took me forever to find those dice too. I was like, what the heck is Lady
I found
Luck?
them right away.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. I found the demon right away.
That's funny. I remember that I remembered from playing the first playthrough that there was a book. There was on the board games and stuff. I'm like, I wonder if there's dice with the board games. If I click around, and there was. And now I'm thinking, I am looking at a new Game Plus guide because it was driving me crazy. Yeah, totally didn't read the origami book. If I
Yeah,
would
I
have
didn't
done
want to
that,
spoil
man.
it for
God
you
damn it.
unless you wanted that. But yeah,
Oh no,
yes.
I love it, and I want to go back and I'm the kind of person where like I've always said that spoilers don't spoil things for me because I still want to go physically do it
Sure.
myself.
Oh.
So even when I play things with walkthroughs, I'm just like, oh look, I made the thing happen. Even if I had instructions that told me how to make the thing happen, I'm like, yes, but I did it.
Yeah.
I pressed the button.
I pushed the buttons. I made the characters do the thing.
You got to experience it firsthand. That makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Ari, what was your favorite puzzle of the new stuff?
I did quite like I can't remember which one it was, but the one where you make the doll out of the food and the
banish the demon one. Yeah.
The bathtub one.
Downton Ancient
Just
Evil.
because it had an origami swan in it.
Yeah. Yeah, those were all really cute. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I've already said the demon was my favorite one, but it was just because my absurdity, I guess, like brought me to those points.
Yeah.
And like, for example, when I finished with the demon and I found the string and I was like, oh, of course, we're going to use this to bind the demon. I'm with it now. I'm on the same page as this game. And I was
thought you meant the demon. I'm with the demon now.
Yeah, a little bit, little column A, little column B. But I was fully convinced that to banish the demon, because one of my chat members said, they're like, oh, you probably flush it down the toilet, because banishing the demon is like another, like, I guess like a euphemism for like taking a shit. And and I was just, I'm sorry, I had no idea how to figure out how to like, sugarcoat that. But, and I was like, we have to be missing a crucial thing. We've got it bound. We've got it, so I was like scrutinizing this note at like all of these different intervals, trying to figure out how to flush this down the toilet. And, as you guys know, you put it in the microwave. And so I'm standing in the kitchen and like analyzing this note again. And I happened to leave the microwave door open. So I went and closed it. And then I went like, I wonder if we put it in the microwave. And everybody went, why would you do that? And I'm like, it makes sense. Hang on. And that was like when we got there and they were like, how does it make sense? I was like, I don't know. It just did.
Like, it just does, you guys. Like, I don't know. Don't ask me.
Radiation or something.
Something like that. I don't know. I was just like, how do you destroy rotten meat doll? And of course, microwave.
Nuke it.
Because I was going to say the oven, but, we still couldn't take the freaking pizza boxes out of the oven.
That was frustrating.
I want to throw those away so bad. Like, if there's one request that I can make to you, Ghostcat Games, please make an update where I can throw away the pizza boxes.
Like, make it be like the thorough cleaning.
They keep me up at night.
Yeah. Well, and me, I'm just like, oh my God, it's such a fire hazard.
Oh, man. But great game. I mean, just great game. Like, my final thoughts on the matter was just like the content update was so freaking cute. The whole gameplay, I think we've covered it thoroughly. This immediately like went up to, I guess, my 5-star because it was just so much fun to play. The replay was so much fun to play. The content update was so much fun to play. The cat's berating me in the secret special room without going too far into detail because I want, Cat to play as well and push the buttons herself. So fun. Ari, do you have anything to say about the secret room, by the way?
No, like, don't want to.
I know, I'm kind of like dancing around it.
You can totally talk about it. It's totally fine.
There's more cats. You need to go see it. There's more cats.
There's more cats. Yeah.
Okay,
I'll respect that portion of it.
That is our last note then for the people listening. Is, we won't spoil the secret room. You have to go experience that yourself.
Yeah, you have to get to the secret room, and it's just it is something that you definitely want to be in the awe and the glory of.
Yeah.
It's really good. I enjoyed it. But those are my final thoughts on the game. Do you guys have anything else you want to wrap up with?
I just like how it sort of presents itself as quite silly and ends up being something a little bit deeper. Mm-hmm. And like the puzzles are just really satisfying because there's a definite logic to them. Even if you get stuck, when you figure it out, you know how you got there, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the steps were.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think for
just really
me,
fun.
the final thoughts are kind of the themes I've been talking about
Mm-hmm.
throughout it. Is that I very similar to Ari, just like the idea that it can be such a light-hearted game that approaches something that we've all been through and all struggled with, and like everyone's had a crappy day. You know, everyone's had one of those days where literally you're like, could one more thing go wrong?
Yeah.
Oh my god. And it's just and it ends so sweetly, and it's replayable. It was just honestly, the game was way more than I expected it to be, and I appreciate that. I appreciate how subtly complex and intricate it was for being a point and click, 8-bit point and click game, puzzle game. It was just it took me by surprise, and I really, really enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
agreed.
the pixel art's really nice too.
Oh, it's so good. Like I would like a wallpaper of the cityscape. I would like a short little soundtrack bite from the main screen. Yeah, I love the art. I love the music and I love the sound design. It I don't know. It's just such a cozy game. Like as frustrating as it is, like when you step back and look at everything with the rainy day and the gloomy morning and everything, it is kind of cozy at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, and that's like you said too, with the game, the sound design of the game itself, it was so simplistic. It wasn't like a game that's immersing you into a world with a soundtrack because your
Sure.
everyday
Yeah.
life doesn't have that. It was just mostly the sounds of the things you were interacting with, the sound of you talking, the cat meowing every once in a while. It
Mhm.
was very much like being in a quiet home alone.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
sort of deliberately quiet, and I don't know, it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked that deliberately quiet.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a great game. I liked it.
Hmm.
10 out of 10.
10
I've
out
already
of 10
recommended
would
it to
play
several
again.
people.
Yeah,
Same.
for sure.
I'll probably play it again. I'm still convinced I can turn on that robot in the basement.
Ah, I gotta find the secret room.
Yeah, you gotta find the secret room, Cat.
You said there's more cats, so
There is. All shapes and
motivation.
sizes.
Motivation.
Uh,
Well, thank you all so much for joining us for this discussion of Pants Quest, which was a game that took us by surprise. It was very enjoyable, playable, to the umpteenth time. Be sure also to like, follow, subscribe, ring the bell, all that weird internet jargon for follow along with us. And check out the links for the game and us down below. Join us next time as we plug into our next episode of the Indie Backlog Club. And until then, y'all, have a great one.
bye.